And then he shows this email, and we know this email is from Tanner because he also showed it on his Tumblr, as we can see here. And also notice the question. This is obviously him again talking to himself, claiming to be an insider that can confirm that Hannah and Jason Piscino had a casual thing going on during the time. But as I proved in the Destroying the Crazy video, there's no way they could have a thing going on during the time because they were across the world from each other. So there's some inconsistencies with this email. Tanner said that this joke was made the day after, but Harley just said that the joke was made the night of the incident. So that doesn't really add up. And also, Michelle is not the kind of person that would make that kind of joke, according to Hannah. Tanner also says, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I. Like there was something going on. Like Hannah had no interest in this guy. And despite Tanner saying that nothing ended up happening, in this Tumblr post, Harley claims the exact opposite. It's just weird that he says, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I. Where it's like he has told Harley before that he was interested in her or something. But this is news to Hannah. But Tanner didn't just only send an email to Harley, he also made a video about Hannah. So let's go through it.
Now most of the people hating on Harley right now for what happened between them and Hannah don't have the kind of insight that I do on this situation.
So first he's claiming that he has some kind of insight, which he doesn't.
Now, I was in Chiang Mai for a total of about 7 months between late August to mid-March of this year. And in that time, I hung out with them on multiple occasions for often an hour or more.
So he's being vague and saying that he hung out with them on multiple occasions. So it makes it seem like he and Hannah and Harley hung out, which they never did. They may have been in like the same place at the same time, like at the potluck, but they were never hanging out with each other.
And I was actually living in the same apartment building as Hannah was throughout that entire time. Now, it's the Bon Lana Boutique.
So here he's revealing where Hannah lived while she was getting death threats from people. Like this person that says, I hope you die, and the same person sending her a message on Facebook too. Whether it's an actual person or just one of Harley's troll accounts, I don't know. And here you can see one of Hannah's friends informing her that he just revealed their residence. And here you can see Hannah telling her friend that she's actually going to leave Chiang Mai. She just didn't feel safe there anymore and she felt so sick and she got suicidal. And it's just pure coincidence that I happen to work with suicidal people. Like I was so scared of waking up and finding Hannah dead that I barely slept during the time and I just completely lost my appetite. I actually lost 15 kilos during this time. Like she was living in Chiang Mai, she was studying there and she had to like quit school, had to leave. And if I didn't have this experience, the outcome of this whole situation could have been disastrous.
In a video that Harley recently made about this, he talked about the guy that emailed him with a joke that somebody made that I saw, and that was me. I sent him that email. Don't remember it precisely, but either Hannah was leaving or had just gotten back, and Michelle from Fruit for Jam, I think her channel name is, who was also living in that apartment building, made a joke about Hannah getting a bike pump from Harley. A pump. And funny thing is, it turned out to actually be true.
So we can't remember precisely. As I just said, it's very unlikely that Michelle made this kind of joke, but he's making it out that he learned about the bike pump from this supposed joke. Why doesn't he tell about the fact that he was there when Harley pressured Hannah with the pump in front of him? Why doesn't he tell about that? Or that Hannah was reluctant when he brought up that pump? Like the mental gymnastics that's going on. That's why it's so dangerous to go up against Harley, because he has these followers with, like, they don't even have critical thought. They just buy into whatever he says.
Anyway, so I was on the ground in Chiang Mai while this was going on, and the days around that period of time and leading up to it.
Many people were in Chiang Mai during that time. That doesn't mean they have any insight to the situation.
They were very flirtatious around each other.
Here he's basically just repeating Harley's lies. It almost seems like he was instructed by Harley to make this video. And as we've seen in part 3 of the unmasking, we know that Harley instructs his followers to make certain videos about people. Now this is only a theory, but because he sent this email saying that, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I, it seems like he was interested in Hannah and that Hannah wasn't interested in him. And this is kinda his way of taking revenge on Hannah. Like, these people are insane.
And I had known from another source that told me that Harley and Freely had taken a break in their relationship. So I thought something was gonna go on between the two of them, which it did, of course, as we now know.
As we now know, it didn't. He's just flat out spreading lies.
And even after this time, they were still sitting next to each other in the restaurants, at least in the situation we saw, because it was the day that Harley and Emmy went out to make that video.
First of all, this was before the rape, and Hannah didn't sit next to Harley. Harley sat next to one of Hannah's friends, and witnesses can confirm this. And Tanner wasn't even there, so what would he know?
While Harley and Hannah, they were sitting across from each other on the table, and this was after they had their little interaction.
He just said that they sat next to each other, and now he's saying that they sat across each other. And this was not after their interaction. Tanner wasn't there, as I said. He came afterwards, and he was waiting outside of the restaurant.
And Hannah was laughing. Harley'd say something, I don't know what he's saying, and Hannah be laughing her ass off. That's not the behavior of somebody who's been sexually assaulted or is receiving unwanted advances. Simply not.
This is why I think he's instructed by the narc to make this video, because he's telling a story without even having been there. And as I said, witnesses can confirm this. And this was before the rape. So what if she laughed about the joke? That doesn't prove anything. Watch out, girls. If you laugh about something a guy says and then you get raped afterwards, you wanted it. This is pure victim blaming.
Everybody has this idea of what a dangerous and destructive person looks like and how they behave. And by and large, people are wrong, right? Who saw Bill Cosby coming? Like, everybody thought he was America's dad, he was the greatest guy. No, he's a total predator. But people had a really hard time believing that, because it's like doesn't act like a predator, he doesn't look like a predator. I mean, he wears those like Bill Cosby sweaters, right? That, predators don't wear like long dark trench coats and hang out in alleyways. If they were that obvious to spot, then none of us would be victims of them, right? Because there's obvious. It's the predators that come off as like wolves in sheep's clothing that are really hard for us to spot.
If you're in my community, you always feel safe.
When is it ever wrong for two consenting adults who have mutual attraction for each other to have sex together?
This literally has nothing to do with the situation. And we have to remember that Harley was in a position that he could destroy Hannah if she spoke up. And he has proven that he's willing to do that when she spoke up. And we have to remember also that Harley claimed that he was this teacher in the community who protected the girls in it.
I'm the school teacher. This Road to Four Bike Fest in Chiang Mai is my little school group.
A lot of them, it's the same, that, people have their guard go down, especially if a person is the same faith as us, right? So we tend to think, especially if this person's a pastor or a minister or a youth leader, we think, wow, this person is a very solid, good, moral and ethical person. But with narcissists, their actions and their words don't match up. So they could be a minister and then they could be, molesting children.
So there you go. I just wanted to call her out on this shit. It wouldn't be fair for me to stay silent with that insight on this situation. Hannah's full of shit.
If it was so important for him to speak up against Hannah and tell everyone that she's full of shit, why did he remove the video? He had no insight to the situation, and he's either making things up or just saying what he was instructed to do. And the only reason I know that he removed the video was because I was gonna go back and take a screenshot of the comment section, because he and Harley had this, I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was like this bros before hoes kind of sentiment. This is what these pathetic losers are willing to do to get some attention. And this is just one of many videos like it that was made about Hannah. I'm only going through this one because Harley brought it up in his video. But what all the videos have in common is that pretty much all of them has been silently removed after the unmasking started coming out. So people suddenly don't want to show that they had a part in this. But I've downloaded everything.
And also, why did Hannah deny having sex with me? Why did she deny that? Consensual sex. Why did she keep denying that?
Hannah never said anything about it. As I said earlier, she was suicidal and she had to move from Chiang Mai, and like basically her whole life fell apart. So she never commented on this.
Anyone in Chiang Mai can ask her, and she will tell you the truth. If you ask her, she will tell you the truth. But for some reason, she's happy to slander me on the internet. Now, I definitely don't hate Hannah. We're very disappointed in her, and I would very appreciate if Hannah could make an apology video to Freely.
There's no direct aggression, there's no direct confrontation. It's passive aggressive reactions. The retaliation is manipulative.
Just notice how passive aggressive he is, claiming that he's not hating Hannah, but he's definitely hating her. And people did ask her while Harley was blackmailing her, so she couldn't even tell them what had really happened, which is what caused her to almost end her life. This is how serious this situation was. This is how much Harley pressured her.
Because odds are they're going to keep pushing you. It's not uncommon. I've worked with so many women that were just on the brink of suicide, and their narcissist just kept pushing them and pushing them. And, you know, it's like it's never enough for them. Like a lot of them really like to destroy your self-esteem. And then of course the whole flying monkeys things starts happening. The wife is probably becoming a flying monkey. Her friends, other people are becoming flying monkeys. It drives people to suicide. And of course the narcissists love that.